Welcome back to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper, sticking with our politics lead now as George Washington says to Alexander Hamilton in the musical Hamilton, winning was easy, young man. Governing's harder. Few know that better than House Speaker Paul Ryan, who is currently trying to herd the cats of the House Republican Conference to repeal and replace Obamacare. The House Speaker joins me now. Speaker Ryan, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jake. I've been using that quote a lot lately, actually.
I'll bet. I want to get to health care in a second, but first, there's some news from Capitol Hill today. Congressman Devin Nunes, the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, confirmed that there's no evidence to support President Trump's claim that President Obama had him wiretapped at Trump Tower. Take a listen.
You have to decide, as I mentioned to you last week, are you going to take the tweets literally? And if you are, then clearly the president was wrong.
Shouldn't President Trump expect that the American people are going to take him literally?
Well, sure. Look, I don't know what he wants to achieve any given tweet. Some of them may or may not be intended to be interpreted that way. But look, I think our chair and the ranking member, Devin and Adam, gave the facts. I got the same briefing, and they are still doing their investigation, all things related to Russia and the election. And I think during their investigation, this is information that they thought was important to shed light on. So that's what they did, and I support what they've done, and I support their continuing investigation in this entire episode.
The president addressed this in an interview with Fox this afternoon. He said the word wiretap covers a lot of different things, and that people are going to hear about some very interesting things in the next few weeks. Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
Well, I just say that the intelligence committees are doing an ongoing investigation about all things related to Russia and their involvement in our elections, their attempt to meddle in our elections. So that's probably what's being discussed is, we've had an investigation for quite a while, actually. This isn't just something that just got started. It's continuing on. So perhaps what he's talking about is the continuation of the investigations by both the House and the Senate Intelligence Committee, which are bipartisan investigations.
But just to put a button on this, nothing that would suggest President Obama had President Trump wiretapped at Trump Tower, as far as you know.
That's correct.
Okay. Let's move on to health care. In January, President Trump told the Washington Post, quote, "We're going to have insurance for everybody. There was a philosophy in some circles that if you can't pay for it, you don't get it. That's not going to happen with us," unquote. The Congressional Budget Office, of course, says that there will be 24 million more uninsured Americans under your plan by 2026. I know that you dispute those numbers, but certainly what you're proposing, whatever it is, would clearly break President Trump's promise of insurance for everybody.
Well, that's if you believe all these analyses. And what I mean when I say that is, what the CBO also said is we would reduce premiums. Our reforms, when they kick in, actually lower prices. So what our goal here is to give everyone access to affordable coverage if they want to have it. What the CBO's analysis tells you basically is, if the government stops forcing people to buy something they don't want to buy, then they won't buy it on a voluntary basis. That means those people will choose not to take a benefit they could otherwise choose to take, but they've chosen not to take it. So the point, we believe, is instead of having a government one-size-fits-all mandate system, which is currently in a death spiral, which is what Obamacare is, repeal that and replace it with more competition, more choice, lowers costs, lowers prices, and gives everybody better access to a more affordable coverage. You combine the federal you combine our bill, which has tax credits, risk pools, health savings accounts, that dramatically expands people's access to affordable health care coverage for those people who do not get health care from their jobs, which is what we've been talking about here. Remember, Obamacare is about 4% of Americans. 4% of the country are on what we think of as Obamacare.
Right.
Yet Obamacare blew up the entire healthcare system. It made all healthcare more expensive for the rest of the individual market and for the employer market. And we have Medicaid currently on an unsustainable path such that a lot of doctors don't even take Medicaid anymore. So this thing is broken,
right,
and we've got to fix it with something better, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, let me ask you, because you talked about that many of the people who will not be insured anymore will be uninsured because they voluntarily get off the system because the individual mandate will be over. Now, you and I are both old enough to remember that the individual mandate was originally a Republican idea.
Yeah, Heritage Foundation came up with it. I actually I don't agree with it. Didn't agree with it then, don't agree with it now.
Right, but it was supported by people like Bob Dole and Chuck Grassley and Orrin Hatch, and the idea of it was personal responsibility, right, essentially outlawing freeloaders, the people who can afford to buy insurance, but they don't buy it, which means that people like you and I, poor schmucks who actually buy insurance for our families, we subsidize them. Why should people who are responsible subsidize those who aren't?
It's an excellent question. It kind of goes to the heart of the debate here and the difference between our two approaches. So on this idea, the one you just advanced, which is actuarially on paper, it makes sense in your mind, right? If you force younger, healthy people to buy insurance, you'll force more money into the pool to pay for the older, sicker person. The problem is that doesn't work. It doesn't work in practice. It's not working now. It's in a death spiral. So here's our approach. We think the smarter way to go is to open up choice and competition, let more plans be offered, people buy what they want, and that's why we are big believers in state-based risk pools. By having federal financing to help states set up risk pools where you actually cover the catastrophic costs for people who have catastrophic illnesses, people with pre-existing conditions, you directly cover those expenses so that person with a catastrophic illness doesn't go poor when they get sick, but also by covering it directly, you're taking that cost out of the other pools. You're dramatically lowering the price of healthcare for everyone else so that it's affordable for everybody else. We think that's just a smarter way to go. Target those pre-existing costs, make sure that those people get the care they need, and so the insurance pool that you're buying, if you're not in that category, doesn't have to cover those costs, and therefore it's much more competitive and lower in price. We think that's just a smarter way to go, and we think people will want to participate in that kind of a system. And that's why if you don't get job-based insurance, then you don't get any tax benefit to get a health care plan. With what we're proposing, equalize the tax treatment of health care, so that if you do not have health care from your job, you also get a tax benefit to buy in a functioning open marketplace where the catastrophic illnesses are not going to have to be borne by your insurance or your pool. The risk pools kick in and catch that. Now, here's the problem, Jake.
Right.
That took me like 12 sentences to explain. That was hard to get through.
Right.
But we think this is a smarter way to go, and it gives you more market freedom. It gives you more flexibility. It has more competition so we can have better innovation in healthcare. The alternative is the status quo, and the status quo is just in the middle of a collapse.
But I don't want to spend the whole time talking about it, the individual mandate, but your argument is basically, just to correct me if I'm wrong, that the people that I just called freeloaders who can afford insurance but don't get it, that they will just find the new healthcare system you create so compelling that they will join it.
Yeah, they're not going to buy insurance that's so expensive that it doesn't make sense to have it. Right now, what's happening is healthy young people are saying, this stuff is way too expensive. The deductible is 3 times what it is in a job-based plan. The premiums are going up double digits every year. I'm not buying it. I'll buy it when I'm sick. That's what's happening right now. That's why this thing's in a death spiral. But if you give everybody an advanceable, refundable tax credit, to go buy a basic plan of their choosing in their state, which now has free market health care, because we're going to let the states set up free markets in health care, and you have risk pools so that you cover that person with catastrophic illnesses, that stabilizes the market, that brings down prices. Don't listen to me. CBO says it as well, that will bring down prices. And that's before Tom Price, the Secretary of HHS, brings forward a lot of reforms that let the states go back and open up market-based healthcare systems. So we really believe these two combinations, this bill and what HHS can do to deregulate the market and allow more plans to be offered, will be very, very successful and helpful.
Let's talk about the politics of this if we can. You say that you and the White House are on the exact same page. How can you say that with all the distancing that we see that those close to President Trump or supportive of him right now are doing about your legislation? His friend Christopher Ruddy says the House Republicans are doing Trump a disservice. Trump strategist Stephen Bannon's website, Breitbart, attacks you day after day. You really think that you and the White House are on the same page?
I actually do. Look, those websites have been attacking me from day one anyway. I'm used to this sort of thing. This is the kind of thing that you deal with in this kind of a job.
But they're trying to get the grassroots to oppose your bill.
That is not where the Trump White House is. The president's going to be talking about this tonight in, I think, Tennessee. We're working hand in glove with the White House. We meet with them constantly, daily. We worked on this bill together. We jointly drafted this legislation, House, Senate, and White House. So we are working on this together. The president's all in on this. Mike Pence is coming to our conference tonight to talk to it. The president's been bringing members of Congress down to lobby them to support this, to help them support this. He's been calling people. So they're fully invested in this. Whether or not people on the outside do this or that, that's just really not something under our control or something, frankly, we're worried about. Vice President's coming here tonight. Tom Price is coming here the next day. The president is making phone calls. He's talking about this. He's traveling on this. We are all in this as a team together.
He just gave a speech in Michigan. He didn't mention it once.
That's because he was going to do CAFE standards. You're not going to go and make an announcement on CAFE standards in Michigan and step all over that story with something on healthcare. That's what he's going to do later, I think in Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken.
It seems like a guy that can bring up more than one subject in a speech. But let me talk about the House and Senate and where the bill is right now, because there are a lot of people who say if it was brought up right now, it would not pass the House and it would not pass the Senate. Listen to Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky talking to CNN about the bill and about President Trump.
Paul Ryan's selling him a bill of goods that he didn't explain to the president, that the grassroots doesn't want what Paul Ryan's selling.
Now, I know you disagree with that, but let me ask you a more substantive question. What changes are you willing to make to this bill to help get it passed in the House and Senate?
Frankly, I think that that's kind of an insulting remark to the president, as if he doesn't know what he's doing or something. It makes it look like, I find that kind of puzzling, number one. Number two, this plan, the one we're passing, it's the one we ran on all of 2016. It is based upon the Tom Price bill, which was seen as the conservative gold standard. It's a bill that had about a dozen study committee, or a dozen Freedom Caucus, and many more study committee conservatives co-sponsoring. So this is what we ran on. This has all along been conservative fiscal policy for health care. And so where we are is we're in the legislative process. It's a 4-committee process here in the House. We're working through that process. We're constantly getting feedback from our members. We're making fine-tuning. We're making changes to the bill, keeping all of the main pieces intact. But where we can improve the bill and make fine-tuning pieces of the bill, that's exactly what we're doing, because that is the legislative process.
Can you give me an example? Give me an example of something that you think can be improved.
Medicaid flexibility is a good example. Giving states better chances at more flexibility. Those are the kinds of things that members are constantly giving us feedback, and we're constantly incorporating that feedback as this legislation moves through the process. Let me say something about senators. You know, senators aren't helpless to the House. Once the House is done with a bill, we send it to the Senate and they take it from there. So if a senator doesn't like a provision in this bill, or this bill at all, the senator can amend the bill. They're going to have this thing, they call it vote-a-rama, where they have all these amendment votes on this bill when it goes over there in the Senate. So the Senate will take this baton when we hand it to them, and then they can do things with this bill. They can change this bill. They can amend this bill. That's the legislative process. So as far as the House is concerned, we have consensus, and we're fine-tuning our consensus, going to the goal line with our president to get this done. And then it goes over to the Senate, and then they start over there.
You have consensus, so if it came up in the House this afternoon, it would pass?
Well, it's not coming up this afternoon. It's going through the legislative process. That legislative process has not been finalized. So that's kind of no offense, kind of a goofy question or faulty premise, because this goes through 4 committees. We've gone through 2 so far. By the way, the 2 committees it went through, unanimous Republican votes in each of those committees, and those committees compromise a cross-section of our House majority. So we feel we're in a very good spot, and we're making it even better by getting feedback from our members and working with the White House to make it better. But then when we're done with the House, it goes over to the Senate, and we'll see what they do.
And you know that you've heard from some of your members talking about their concerns about the effect it would have on older Americans, those who are older but not yet old enough to receive a Medicare. CBO said that your health care plan would greatly increase costs for older Americans. As it stands right now, according to CBO, a 64-year-old making $26,500 a year would pay $1,700 for coverage in 2026 if Obamacare remained, because of the subsidies that senior would get. But under your plan, CBO says that senior would pay more than 8 times that, $14,600, because the refundable tax credit that you're proposing would not offset as much of the cost. And this is why, as you know, AARP opposes your bill.
2 problems with that analysis. You said if Obamacare remains. Let's just say we do nothing. Obamacare will go away because Obamacare is in a death spiral. 5 states, 1 insurer left. Over 1,000 counties, 1 insurer left. Humana just announced they're pulling out of Obamacare because they too lost too much money. So those people don't get anything left. So Obamacare, this is a faulty comparison in my mind, because it's comparing us to a law that we know can't last. And more importantly, we're not making people buy Obamacare plans. So we're going to let people buy what they want to buy. So that's the whole point. You're saying, oh, this tax credit only goes so far if you force people to buy an Obamacare plan.
I didn't say it. CBO's.
No, I know. I'm saying, but we're not going to force people to buy an Obamacare plan. That's the point I'd make.
But do you dispute the fact that healthcare costs would go up to $14,000 for that senior?
No, because you're missing the premise of my argument, which is our goal is to lower the cost of health insurance. Our goal is to increase quality and have more choices and lower the cost. Let me say it this way. President Obama promised, if you like your plan, you can keep it. That didn't come true. He then said it's going to lower premiums on average $2,500. It went the opposite direction. Premiums went up something like an average of $3,000. So that didn't work. We're not going to keep us on this escalator of higher costs and a collapsing healthcare system. Our whole entire plan is to lower the cost of that so that you stretch your healthcare dollar further. That's the entire premise of our reforms. Repeal this law, replace it with something that works, so we actually get costs down. And if you get costs down, you improve access to quality care.
Speaker Ryan, let me just ask you one unrelated question, because the deadline to raise the U.S. debt ceiling is tomorrow. Is your party going to raise the limit by the deadline tomorrow?
They don't need to raise it by the deadline tomorrow. The Treasury Department has quite a few things that they can do, which will last months, to do certain moves to make sure that that doesn't happen. I forgot exactly the tool we use. And we're going from Russia to healthcare to debt limit. So the Treasury Secretary has told us we don't have to do it tomorrow. We've got plenty of time to sort this out.
Will your party raise the debt ceiling?
We will work with our colleagues in both the House, the Senate, Republicans and Democrats in the White House to come to a conclusion to this. I don't believe we're not going to have a default on our debt, and we will figure out how best to deal with this issue when that moment arrives. And that moment, statutorily, I guess I didn't even know that arrives tomorrow. Steve Mnuchin, our Treasury Secretary, has told us we got plenty of time to figure this out.
House Speaker Paul Ryan, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming and taking the questions. We appreciate it.
Thanks.